Hello and welcome back to another episode here at The Damage Report, where we're gonna do it again. The third day of the Supreme Court hearings, a very serious, dignified process with a long history in America, where we do the hard work of evaluating whether someone deserves to have nearly unlimited power for the rest of their life over American society. Or at least that's technically what we're supposed to be doing. But Jayar, today is a big Jayar News Wednesday as we enter day 3 of the Amy Coney Barrett hearings. We're going to be talking about it. I'm glad that you're here because I can't take much more.
Yeah, well, I mean, here's the thing. Good thing that these things are lifetime appointments in the Supreme Court, because that would completely eliminate any and all biases or partisanship. I'm glad we have this situation in place to make sure that does not happen, because it doesn't happen in our Supreme Court.
Yeah, I'll say this. The idea, before we move into it, and we got things to talk about before we get into the news, the idea of her being one of the 9 just makes me feel so much dread. The only thing that makes me feel better is the thought of her being one of the 15. That I think I won't have as big of a problem with. So let's move in that direction. Anyway, so Jayar, very glad that you're here to cover the news and possibly for something as yet unannounced tomorrow night that we haven't decided if we're doing yet. But if we do, maybe Jayar will be involved. Everybody who's already joining us on YouTube or Twitch, thank you so much for being here. Please hit the like button and share the stream so the more people know that we're active and live. They can get involved in the conversation and all of that. And if you send us messages, as so many of you are already doing, wow, we'll be responding to those as we go. I hope that many of you tuned in to the T.Y. Tarantino special last night. It was supposed to be like an alternate history, but it was pretty much just, how did TYT start? How did we all get involved, JR? Which I found to be fine. That was like the most fun I've had on a special in a long time. What do you think?
Yeah, to speculate where we would be is a little bit tough, because, you know, what kind of decisions we would have made right after. All we could have given was the immediate thing that would have happened, which I think we did a little bit of. But yeah, and I mean, it's more fun to reminisce. And then this would happen.
Yeah.
Old pictures started getting filed through. And once you see those, you can't help but start talking about what was going on in those moments.
Totally. Yeah, exactly. We got to see, so I was on an hour with Anna Kasparian. We got to see some old photos of Anna when she was, I think, 12 and working at the studio. It was great. And I think it's probably up on the Twitch channel or somewhere. I don't know. If you're a member, you probably have access to it. I don't know for sure, but you should definitely watch it if you haven't already. The first hour is rough because Jank, I guess he was broadcasting from like a Russian cell phone from the 1980s. I don't know. It was terrible, but it was still fun. And let's see. Oh, I've been tracking, by the way, Shop TYT, the how much people have been liking the Damage Report t-shirt and the new Dragon Squad t-shirt. And the response has been amazing. If you haven't already seen them, go to Shop TYT. They should be there at the front page. You're seeing a photo there. I love that design. It makes me so excited. Carlos did such a good job. It's so aggressive. Like, to some extent, thematically not quite right, because the whole point of Dragon Squad was that it was going to be incredibly lame, but still cooler than the Proud Boys or the Boogaloo Boys or whatever. That just looks really cool. I guess we're cool now. What are we supposed to do? Sometimes you find out you're cool. Yeah, just now. And anyway, also we have an Instagram.com/The Damage Report. So go check that out. You should be seeing today some Dragon Squad pets. People have been sending in their photos to #pets of TDR, and we're going to be spreading those. That said, we've got a lot of news to get to, JR, so why don't we jump into it?
Ready.
It is day 3 of the Amy Coney Barrett confirmation hearings, but before we get to all of that, I want to just highlight one part of day 2 that happened after our show yesterday. Here she is being asked about climate change.
Yeah, I've read about it.
How about climate change? I mentioned climate change. Have you read about that?
I've read about climate change.
And you have some opinions on climate change that you've thought about?
You know, I'm certainly not a scientist.
I'm not saying you are.
I mean, I've read things about climate change. I would not say that I have firm views on it.
Why would you? I mean, you're only a full-grown adult. The science has only been settled for decades, and you will be ruling on any number of cases that are already pending having to do with climate change. Why would we expect that you would have a firm view at all about it? So on possibly the most important challenge currently facing our species, our civilization, our country, she doesn't have firm views about that, really. Or certainly not firm views that we get to hear about.
You started the whole show talking about these confirmation hearings, and I'm really trying to figure out why. I feel like I said it, not during the last ones, but because those were pretty contentious, talking about everything that went down with Kavanaugh. But most of these end up being an exercise, and I don't recall. I can't answer. Oh, kind of, not really, but sorta. And we don't get anything from these nominees or these people that have been appointed, and they're looking for their confirmation. We just don't get it, and they're not supposed to. Anything they say is going to get scrutinized from one side or the other. So why do they say anything? Why do we have them? Again, I felt like I said this during one of the more recent ones. We're not learning anything. You watched for several hours today, and all you get is the same things that you figured are true about her, and that are semi-confirmed, because she won't say yes or no. She'll say kind of, sort of, maybe. Why are we doing this? This is a waste of a whole bunch of time. Just, we know her record. Let the senators, let the Judiciary Committee sift through her records. Mm-hmm. And then we know who she is based off of that. Those are her legal records. Those are things that she's decided on. Those are boards that she sat on. Those are the opinion pieces that she wrote. That's who she is. Not this person who now decides to sit in front of this committee and not tell us anything. You've told us plenty about yourself before that. When you go to a job interview and they look for your resume, there's a reason why they have your resume. They don't just take Joe Schmo off the street and say, "Hey, come up to the board meeting and talk to us about who you are." No, we already know who you are. We looked into your background. Why are we talking to you so you can lie to us?
Exactly. And about, oh God, Bill McKibben had a great tweet about that particular part. We're about to go way broader than just climate change, but he said, not being an astronomer, I can't really offer an opinion on whether a giant asteroid crashing into the planet would be desirable. That's exactly the same thing. She's saying, I'm not an expert, and I'm going to pretend that there aren't experts, that nobody knows anything. Maybe the experts are, the CEO of ExxonMobil. I don't know. Maybe we'll find out, but you're not going to find out, not until you give me a lifetime, effectively unrevocable position to rule on whether we get to respond to the climate crisis or we don't. Because we are going to have, no matter what happens, a big battle ahead of us to get the Green New Deal passed. And when it does get passed, Amy Coney Barrett's going to be waiting there. So that's going to be fun. Really quick mention, probably not necessary because we've said this so many times, but she will be, when she gets on the Supreme Court, because they're definitely putting her on the Supreme Court, the third Supreme Court justice that Trump will have gotten. So we just have to look back and say that whatever, different people are going to blame different things. I get it. But the path that led to Trump becoming president and having this unprecedented ability to shape the Supreme Court, whoever you blame, that was the biggest disaster, the most consequential disaster in our lives in politics. Maybe the 2000 election launched the Iraq War and all of that. Maybe that was worse. Maybe. But this is probably worse going forward because of the power that she'll have to strike down progressive legislation for literally the rest of our lives, the rest of my time in media, Jayar's time in media, and all of that. So that's fun. But I totally agree with your point. She won't tell you about anything that is pending legislation-wise, any kind of sort of challenge. She won't tell you anything about that. She won't tell you about anything that could come before her. Yep. And anything that definitely won't, from her point of view, is settled and I don't need to talk about it. Anything that has been worded so vaguely that it has nothing to do with any particular piece of legislation, if it has to do with anything that we know she has a view on, well, that's settled or whatever. I'm not gonna talk about that. This is just, I'm not going to tell you anything. And the Republicans pretending that they're okay with that, which is a lie twice over. One, because they already know what she actually thinks. That's why they don't need any more information. And two, because you can bet your ass that the next time a Democrat, if we're lucky enough to get a Democrat nominee for the Supreme Court, they're going to suddenly expect a little bit more information out of the nominee at that point. Don't expect that this, well, we wouldn't want her to predispose herself towards any outcome attitude is going to last a minute past Amy Coney Barrett getting on the Supreme Court.
Yeah. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah, so the entire thing feels like a massive sham. It's a farce. It's offensive. The only reason it's worth Any investment is as a reminder to the American people in the literal final weeks of an election 13 million plus people have already voted in, that this is what the Republican Party wants. That's what the Dems need to do. Remind the American people that is literally it. That's it.
Yep. And honestly, I'm trying to figure the best way that Biden and Harris can answer this court packing question, because honestly, first off, we can ditch the term because this has been happening consistently from lower courts to other appellate courts throughout the country, to where Republicans have been shifting the power of courts consistently, but there's just not enough Americans pay attention to it. And, rightfully so. I mean, how much are you going to be paying attention to certain, I'm going to make up one because I don't pay attention to it enough either. The 13th Appellate Court in New Hampshire, who knows? I don't know where these things are, what exactly they're ruling on, until it's something that's newsworthy that they're ruling on. But in the meantime, positions and judges get appointed to these positions all the time, and people don't pay attention. This isn't the first time Amy Coney Barrett has done anything. There's lots of track record on her, but we didn't hear about her till now, because now it's the Supreme Court. But all these other courts have a very big influence on the way that laws are carried out and the way things are ruled on. And eventually, when it gets up to the Supreme Court, the few that do, then we hear about those.
Yeah,
it's honestly something that's been happening with the Republican Party for a while, and Democrats are afraid to say it. Hey, I don't know. Maybe you can just say, if you're running for president, you're damn right. We're going to do something different with these courts, because what more promises do I have to listen to from this party, who has absolutely no principles and will say one thing and do the exact opposite without blinking an eye? Why should I be playing this game with them? Why are they controlling me?
I'm so sick of the entire conversation about packing the court or expanding, literally any of it. Ted Cruz said he wasn't going to give Hillary Clinton a nominee ever. If she became president, Merrick Garland would never come up for a vote ever. So spare me. And you can go through, we're not going to go through all the research. Take a look at the changes to state Supreme Courts under Republicans over the last decade or two. Take a look at what they really think about how unchangeable and durable these Supreme Courts need to be. They don't actually think that. They want power. The question of the Democrats is, do you want power? And if you say you want it, what are you going to do to get it? Okay. Or are you just going to go along with this completely sham narrative, on anything having to do with norms around presidential power, legislative power, anything that they won't hold to themselves on the Republican side?
It's a very simple answer.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't believe that Joe Biden does want to expand the court. I just really don't think that. I'm emboldened a little bit by the fact that he won't give a clear answer, but I also can come up with alternative reasons he wouldn't do that don't have to do with him actually expanding the court eventually.
Yeah, I think there's a good way to say it. Also, Republicans are looking to limit people's rights. Just go through the numbers. The number of Americans who actually want Americans to have rights on a multitude of issues, and be like, you know what? We're not packing courts. We're giving the voice back to the American people. So let's stop with that ridiculous term, packing the courts. What we're doing is, Americans voted for us. Look at the numbers. And then after the overwhelming number of Americans voted for us, we're going to finally do something for them, because they voted for us. They've entrusted me with their vote. Now I'm going to do something. Hey, are you mad at me for going with the American people? You can be against the American people, or I can be for them. Which side are you on? There's many ways to say it.
Yeah. Yeah, I was watching it. I'm sure you were watching it. We're going to talk about how she was asked about voter suppression and how it clearly affects Black and brown people more than white people. She wouldn't acknowledge it. It's 100% clear. It's the most obvious thing in the world. She won't admit it. Why? Because she doesn't care, or she likes it. That's it. That's it. It's as simple as that. And we can go through a long list of that. I tweeted, she hasn't said a single thing that I have heard that it even appears to go against one of Donald Trump's interests. And she avoided all the questions about his power to delay elections, manipulate elections, all of that, because again, she was chosen to give him the election. She's not going to abstain, and she likely will be in literally 3 weeks. She will be taking up some of these cases. So it's going to be a fun rest of 2020. And why shouldn't it be? 2020 so far has been such a delight. Perfectly splendid, actually. Anyway, do you have anything else you want to say about this?
No, I'm done with her.
No. And we shouldn't be. Really sucks that we're in this position, but we are in this position.
Yeah.
Let's try to bear in mind the people that put us in this position. Anyway, let's read a few super chats before we move on to other news. First super chat today was from Tony Forster, who says, a new UK poll has put Trump well ahead in the race to the White House by a staggering 80%, and just 20% would vote for Biden. Okay, I don't know what that is or who did that. I don't think that 80% are planning to vote for Donald Trump. I don't know. Bobby Man says, ordered my TDR shirt today. Awesome. Thank you. That'd be great. Rob Shively says, who started the name Dragon Squad? That person deserves some recognition. Also, who's getting the first Dragon Squad tattoo? That second question, I'm not sure. Probably Jayar. He's got so many already.
It has to hit a theme.
Exactly. Hey, we have a red dragon so far. We've got a green design. We could do black dragon, and then that could deserve a spot in your tableau.
My Black Panther. I mean, my black superhero.
Exactly.
You're right.
Exactly. Have you thought about expanding it at all?
There's no more room. And I mean, I guess I'd have to go for the other arm.
Pack the arm. Yeah, you gotta get. Do you have Shuri or something? You need to start to fill out the expanded universe.
You're right.
Yeah. In terms of who started the name, it was me, although accidentally. I was just trying to come up with something that was slightly less lame off the top of my head than every right-wing male organization's name has been over the last decade. Anyway, Hoot USMC Brown says J&J Wednesday, y'all. Thank you for watching. Chuck Osecki says, has anyone confirmed if Captain COVID, Lieutenant Lungspurs, is negative yet for FA19 yet? Are we going to let him continue infecting rallies? Look, he seems healthy to me. He seems healed. That does not mean that he is negative, but it is plausible that he is not transmitting it to other people at this point. And whether that's true or not, he's doing them. He's just going to do them. There's nothing that's going to stop him. Let's see. Guapo says, Dragon Squad Unite. I voted. Did you? Everyone in the chat, did you vote? Are you registered or neither? Let us know now. Chubtoad says, since Shop2IT does not have 4XL shirts, hoodies, can we get a Dragon Squad hat? Maybe a mask. The hat is a very good idea. I do like that. In terms of the sizes, I don't know if that's a vendor thing. Like, I don't believe that has anything to do with us, that we would limit that. It might just be that that's what the service does. I don't know. Maybe we can talk to Shop2IT about that. But eventually a hat or a mask would be a great idea. Maybe we can just get really vicious dragon teeth for a mask. AJ, thank you for your super chat. And Zane says, got my hoodie and shirt. I can't wait to hear my to wear my Dragon Squad hoodie and TDR shirt. Dragon Daddy. Thank you, Zane. I appreciate it. Oh, great. I'm having audio issues because I forgot to turn off my Bluetooth. Jayar, can you speak for a second?
I can speak for a second. I can speak for several seconds.
I can hear you. I know. Over on Twitch, Bart left me a comment saying, the great thing about Dragon Squad is the duality of it being cool and lame at the same time. Dragons don't exist, which makes it lame, but they look cool and badass. That's the duality. Exactly. Obi-Mom Kenobi, thank you for gifting a sub. Brooke Marks, thank you for resubscribing for the 8th month, although you're sort of obligated. Belitness, thank you for subscribing for your 3rd month. And Lynn says, Jayar and John, hello. Thank you.
Hello, Lynn. Was it Lynn?
Yes. Octo Squiddies has a great comment on Twitch saying, ACB, do you prefer chocolate or strawberry? I don't know. Yeah, we're not going to find out anything. Now, with that, let's move on to some other news. From here on out, major grab bag of news that's worth knowing about, just to know what's going on. There is a big story out today having to do with Hunter Biden, and we're not going to talk about it because it's BS, and we're not going to play that game because the stakes are too high. But what we are going to talk about is this. So let's transition to our next topic.
Yes.
Twitter has begun removing fake Twitter accounts purporting to be black supporters of Donald Trump. It was pretty easy to locate them, it turns out, because let's see, we have more than a dozen accounts using identical language, like the phrase, in all caps, yes, I'm black and I'm voting for Trump with 3 exclamation points. So generally, when the same accounts are tweeting the exact same thing at the exact same time, that's usually a pretty good sign that it's not real. Many of the suspended accounts are using stolen images, either stock footage or potentially the faces of military members, members of law enforcement, literally soldiers that have died recently. They'll steal those photos. You have ones like this from Caleb Littleford, #BlacksForTrump, saying, leaving the Democratic Party has been on my mind for a few weeks now. No, it hasn't, because you don't have a mind because you're a bot. But he goes on to say, not happy with what they've been standing for. And it seems like they just want to use black folks for their votes. Is there room on the Trump train? Can I get some retweets and follows? I follow back. And why shouldn't you? Because you're a program. That got 10,000 retweets, despite the fact that that's not a real person. That was a stolen photo that a likely white bot manager put out there to pretend that there's organic black support for Donald Trump. We've got more, but Jayar, what do you think?
Yeah, I was just gonna, before this story came out, just like a day or two ago, I was just wondering, because I tumbled down a rabbit hole when I was looking into one of Donald Trump's tweets, and then you have the normal folks who were the first ones to to criticize him, and then as you go further and further down, you start getting to the supporters. Then you stumble yourself into a side conversation, and then the third side conversation, and the fourth side conversation. And here's all these folks, and I was like, man, the ridiculousness of some of these tweets. And the regularity of the things that you can predict that they'll say is just blatant. I was like, who? And then you get some of these, and it's like you said, 10,000 retweets. I was like, there's no way 10,000 people looked at that and said, oh, that's a great tweet. It's so original. I hadn't thought of that. And I was like, who watches this stuff? Who looks into it? Who thinks this is real? Who thinks a black person who has any kind of self-respect tweet something that says hashtag blacks for Trump? Black folks that care about themselves don't call themselves blacks for Trump. It's just it's too generic of a statement that's been put together by someone else who's controlling you, and it's inauthentic. I mean, I'm not saying there's no black people that support Republicans. It's just they don't talk like that. It's a weird thing, and the ones that do publicly talk like that are being paid to talk like that. It's just not the way a normal human being talks when they're saying they're representing who they are.
Yeah. There are black individuals that support Donald Trump. There are black individuals who are Republicans even before Donald Trump. There are black grifters who are, whether they organically actually like him or not, are using that to make names for themselves. And in terms of the retweets of things like this, I don't doubt that quite a bit of that was probably real, because there's a lot of Republicans that definitely don't want Donald Trump to do anything, whatever it might be, that would be required to get more black Americans to support him, whatever that policy change would be. They don't want that. And generally, they have no interest in that community whatsoever. But they do like the idea that Trump, being who Trump is, hating who he hates, all of that, would still end up getting some of that support. And so that's why some of these grifters get the spread that they do, because a lot of white Trump supporters who have no love whatsoever for black Americans still want the idea that it's not just white people that like him. So they'll retweet this, sure. They'll retweet him, and they'll retweet something that Candace Owens said or something like that, and feel like, hey, I'm not that bigoted after all, because I retweeted Caleb Littleford, even though Caleb Littleford is, I don't know, some guy named Glenn, some white guy, I don't know.
They're useful, and when you're useful, that's it, you get paid to be useful. Or once you can't get enough useful people to jump on board because you need larger numbers, you just make them up. So again, it goes back to the same thing. Whenever political figures or even pundits talk about the inorganic nature of democratic uprisings or these protests and all this stuff, they buzz people in, they pay them. It's exactly the playbook that they go off of. And we've seen it countless times. And no matter how many times you see it, they'll just keep doing it because they actually don't care about the people who are smart enough to identify this. They care about the people who aren't smart enough to identify it, and they go and spout all this. Look at all this support for Trump. Did you know there's people on boats? Forget the polls. There's boats. Like, these are the examples that they're giving. Another example they're giving are blacks for Trump on Twitter, which isn't a real thing.
Well, and I mean, there was that Saturday event at the White House that had a bunch of black Trump supporters that was there, and Candace Owens was involved in it. And it turned out that they had been paying people to fly in, like covering their travel expenses, which, by the way, I don't have as big of a problem with that as some. You can do that. That doesn't mean that those people don't like Donald Trump. But think about what it means, though, that in Washington, D.C., how many millions of people live inside of a 45-minute drive of D.C.? They had to fly people in because they couldn't find a crowd of 200 black people in Washington, D.C. that like the president. So they can do it if they want, but we get to acknowledge what it means that they had to. And so anyway, I'm glad that that Twitter is doing this. If they could find I understand that the techniques that these bot farms use continues to change and everything. but it's just so much of Twitter is so fake and so manipulated. They've got to get better at it. I mean, this lasted for so long. I don't know. We'll see.
If minimal effort gets you maximum results, why would you add to your effort?
I guess they're doing fine without taking it more seriously. Maybe they don't need to take it more seriously. Okay, before we move on to our next story, because we're going to roll through, I did want to just let people know, everybody who is watching on Twitch probably already knows this, but you on YouTube might not. We have an awesome member of Dragon Squad named Sexy Melly B, who just found out that she has a blood infection and has to have 2 new surgeries. And so, just keep Sexy Melly B in your thoughts, everybody. I know she's watching right now, but obviously continuing to go through a lot, as so many people are. And so thoughts to you, Sexy Melly B.
Yeah, you guys always know there's more stuff going on than COVID, and people are dealing with a lot of stuff that's unnamed.
Exactly. And COVID obviously is interacting poorly with a lot of these things, but also hospitals being so slammed is hurting people who don't have COVID but have other issues. Many people have gotten sick and died as a result of the fact that they can't or don't feel comfortable going into hospitals at this point. Now, with that, let's lighten things up. I don't know. Let's talk about Trump, basically. It's going to be sort of sad, sort of funny. That's the chapter we're in. Anyway, okay, here we go. Donald Trump, at his rally last night, tried to make his final appeal to, he'll say, suburban women. He means white women who don't like him as much as they did in 2016. Here is his desperate begging to get them back on his side.
Aliens, raise your taxes, confiscate your guns, get rid of your Second Amendment. I mean, here's one that's incredible. Destroy your suburbs. Okay, so they talk about the suburban women. And somebody said, I don't know if the suburban woman likes you. I say, why? But we had this. I love you too. They said, they may not like the way you talk, but I'm about law and order. I'm about having you safe. I'm about having your suburban communities. I don't want to build low-income housing next to your house, okay, if that's okay. And I ended the regulation, the rule, that made the zoning so impossible that you had to destroy your communities. And then I hear the suburban woman. I think that the suburban woman, and I used to say suburban housewife, I used to take heat, but I said, does anybody care? Do you care if I say suburban? No, they're all going, no. Again, the only one cares is them. Trump said suburban housewife, but I didn't say it because I don't. You learn very quickly. You learn very quickly. But suburban women, they should like me more than anybody here tonight because I ended the regulation that destroyed your neighborhood. I ended the regulation that brought crime to the suburbs, and you're going to live the American dream, and that's what you're going to do.
Okay, so it's about to get even more racist and patronizing and pathetic in the second bit. I like our audience. I can't make him watch 2 minutes and 19 seconds all at once. So we're gonna talk about this part first. Jayar, he keeps saying the word suburban, but I feel like that's not what he means. I kind of feel like he means something else there.
Anytime it talks about low income and bringing people in, all those are the same trigger words and phrases for what we've always seen. So these suburban women and also the suburban housewife, we know what the suburbs were supposed to be, this escape from those urban areas. What's the opposite of the suburban? The urban. So what is another term people used to, before they started calling them blacks for Trump, was those urban people. What are those urban people? They're minorities and they're scary. You know those high crime areas? What's the first city they always bring up? Chicago. That's right. Those urban areas of crime, infested areas, because all they do is run around and terrorize their own neighborhoods and destroy things. We've heard it all. It's all built up. It's a part of the same narrative. There's no dog whistles. This is a straight normal whistle. And he's been called out on it. It doesn't matter because he wanted that. So there's no calling someone out on something that they're exposing themselves for. So it's it is what it is at this point. And at this point, the way that he's losing women support from women, I don't know if it's suburban women or urban women or somewhere in the middle, he's losing them all. And I think I'm not sure who has to tell him, hey, we got to bail on this part of the stump speech because it's kind of senseless. Nobody cares.
Remember, we have to hold two possible explanations in our mind as we watch all of the rest of Trump's campaigning. He's amazing at politics, or he got kind of a little bit lucky in 2016 and narrowly squeaked by a win in the Electoral College, and it turns out they ain't actually that amazing. Is this a good appeal? We're going to have more in this segment, not just about women, but about senior citizens as well. Is he a political genius, as many continue to think, or did he just get kind of lucky?
No.
All that he just said there is insane. Yeah, look, he obviously means white women. That's clearly what he means. The whole thing about ending the regulation and stopping the low-income people, first of all, how many people in that crowd, before Trump started talking about it, thought about that even once in their entire life? Maybe they didn't want low-income people or whatever he actually means by that, which is pretty clear, but they weren't thinking about that regulation. They just like that they get what he means, that it's made for them and it's very clear. Also, bear in mind when he keeps talking about how low people without money are going to ruin your American dream, remember that he's a right-wing populist. He cares about people who've been left behind and economically hurt and have economic anxiety. That's why he's demonizing people without money constantly as his final campaign tactic. Just bear that in mind when hearing about right-wing populism. It doesn't tend to go all that deep. As soon as it intersects with race, suddenly they're going in a different direction, oddly enough. But anyway, we're going to have the numbers on the women because, Jayar, you asked about it. Before we get to that, though, let's watch the second part of this where it gets truly grovelly.
And remember this, 29% of the people experiencing the American dream in the suburbs happen to be minority. And you don't know that, but 29%. And we're doing this for everybody. We're not doing it one way or the other. We're doing it. And I ended it. They said, sir, we can amend it. I said, no, I don't want to amend it. I want to end it. It was a horror show. And this loser, Cory Booker, is the guy that's going to be in charge of the program. The guy's a stone-cold loser. 1%. He got 1%. He ran. He was going to be great. 1%. Every week. He was like her. Down, down, down. They should have picked him. But no, he'll be in charge of your suburban. So can I ask you to do me a favor? Suburban women, will you please like me? Remember? Please. I saved your damn neighborhood, okay? The other thing, I don't have that much time to be that nice. I can do it, but I gotta go.
Okay. Yeah, that video brought to you by the Grovel Institute. Will you please like me? It's the Jeb Bush, please like. That's all it is.
Please clap.
Jayar, did you notice so really fast. So he brought up Cory Booker. Why? Nobody could figure out why he brought up Cory Booker. But that's racist, obviously. But it went a step further because that video that we just showed you was literally to the second a continuation of the last one we showed you. It's 2.5 minutes. When he said he was like her, why did he immediately transition to just a her? He didn't even say who the her is. He's minutes into a rant. It's not about Kamala Harris, but that's who he was talking about there. Why? You know exactly why. That's the transition he made. Oh my God.
Like he's like, okay, a couple presidential candidates that I can come up with that were black folks because that's where my brain is. And then he also, he also interrupted himself to point out that he's not being racist by talking about the 29% of black folks that live the American dream in the suburbs. So is this a guilty conscience? Are you making sure that you're going to go ahead and address what everyone knows is happening? And also, he mentioned that American dream of living in the suburbs. I mean, I don't live in the suburbs, and I can probably poll a significant number of people that would think that's the American nightmare to live in the suburbs. Everybody isn't flocking to the suburbs. This isn't 1957. Again, he still lives there. And that's where he sees this whole suburban housewife thing. It's why he had to address the suburban housewife, because it's 1957. Everybody's June Cleaver, and everybody's wearing pearls and high heels while they cook chili. That's what he sees America as. And anyone else that isn't that are un-American, or they're these weird either minorities or immigrants that are coming in to destroy your America, because that's the racist screed. It's we're living this nice pristine life where we just ran away from those urban sinners. And now we're living this nice, pristine life, and they're out here trying to take over that too. How dare they? They're coming for my daughter. I'm waiting for the stump speech where he mentions your suburban housewives. You're looking to protect your daughters, right? It's coming.
Yeah, would he do it? Would he do it? His fans would love it.
Tucker Carlson already did it.
Yeah, they're gonna drag you out.
It was. Yeah, he's like the pimps are like OnlyFans is the pimps, and your lily white daughter is the prostitute.
Jesus.
How do people what do people picture pimps as? What gender and what race? When you dress for Halloween, you're like, I'm gonna be a pimp, and you put on that stupid hat and a purple suit. Who are you emulating?
Well, I would say the first two things in order that I picture, one is Cosmo Kramer from Seinfeld dressed as a pimp, because that was a great episode. Two is the guy from Project Veritas. He's a very serious investigative reporter. Don't forget that. Anyway, okay, so Trump is making his appeal to suburban women. Won't you please like me? No, they won't. They hate your guts, and they should. So let's talk about recent polls. An average of the last 5 live interview polls puts Biden up by 25 points among women voters. That includes a 34-point margin in CNN's poll released last week. A 34-point poll. Trump is getting trounced by women. He's as unliked as me in high school. Anyway, no candidate of either party. This is amazing. For some history, no candidate of either party in the polling era has ever led among women voters by more than 24 points in the final pre-election polls. This includes the blowout elections of 1964 and 72, which Lyndon Johnson and Richard Nixon took by more than 20 points respectively. So even in these blowout elections, where they won by more than double digits, they still couldn't rack up a lead among women that Biden, who isn't leading by 20 points, is getting amongst them. Trump is hated by a lot of people, but women love to hate Trump. That much is clear at this point.
Please love me. I still don't know why. Maybe I'm waiting for one of these ads to come out. Maybe we should make one. The comparison between Jeb and the please clap and the please love me. This isn't the first time either. Trump is always begging people to like him. Can you guys like me now? That's the basis for his entire existence is, can you like me? Because I'm a horrible person and I need your validation in order to continue on with this charade of a campaign. I'm tired, John.
I know. Last bit of context. Clinton won women by 13 points among likely voters and 14 points among registered voters in the final pre-election polls. So Biden is doing almost twice as well in the gap among women rather than Hillary Clinton. And that to me is a demonstration of that people know Trump better than they did in 2016, and Biden doesn't have some of the baggage that Hillary Clinton did. Some of it earned, some of it not, that dragged her down in that way. But really fast, let's transition to another area, because he's got his plea out to women. Please, suburban women, love me. But Trump doesn't just need suburban women. He also could really use some senior citizens. And he's got some interesting last-minute strategies for appealing to them. You might remember that he had that weird green-screened White House lawn video where he told them that they're not actually at a greater risk from contracting or dying from COVID, which is, you know, as campaign strategies go, trying to kill them is an odd one. But he's following that up by a little bit of mockery. This is insult to injury. So he tweeted out this photo of Joe Biden. You can see that Joe Biden's head has been photoshopped onto a person in a nursing home with Biden for resident put there. Because the joke is, if you don't get the joke is that he lives at a nursing home, and that's stupid and lame, and people who live at nursing homes suck and are awful. That's basically what the joke is, Jayar.
Yeah,
you think this is going to get some of those old voters over there?
Old people that are in need of assistance enough that they live in a nursing home, they're weak, they're stupid, their lives are over. There's nothing to them. This has straight up been said, especially as we see COVID ravage, elderly communities or people that have pre-existing conditions, all those things. We see how anytime someone passes away, they go, oh, well, that guy was just old. Old people are just going to die. We saw this multiple times. There's a disdain for old folks. Only thing that they care about old folks is their vote. And somehow Trump missed that one small thing. The Republican Party is supposed to exploit them and act like you care about them. Trump is so busy. He's hung up with this weakness thing or this, that's why he has the issue with when he contracted COVID his problem was he didn't want to be seen as weak. So anyone that's weak or a sucker or an idiot, he has to distance himself from. So the worst thing he can do to Joe Biden is retweet this picture of him looking like an old person in a nursing home because, isn't that horrible? Doesn't he look like a sucker?
Yeah.
Look at him. He's all skinny and frail sitting in a chair. That's who this guy is. That's who he's always been. That's who he's always been. And then every time we see it, we just go, oh, well, that's just Trump. He's just counterpunching.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, keep counterpunching.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, and by the way, remember that Trump is like a week out of his round-the-clock care from a team of more than a dozen doctors at Walter Reed. Yeah, but it's Biden who needs to be waited on hand and foot. Now, I saw in the Twitch chat that Octo Squiddy says that we're being too hard, that it's a joke, we have no sense of humor. You might be right. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe old people will look at that tweet if they see it at all, and hopefully they're not on Twitter because they don't need that kind of stress in the twilight, years of their life. Maybe they'll see that and think that it's funny. I don't know. It just, to me, seems kind of tone deaf. And to me, it's emblematic that I just don't think that he's the political genius that some people learned the lesson of 2016 as being, that he is one. I don't think he's that good at this. He is very good in a limited way. He is basically a political grifter. Grifters are good at identifying an audience and dominating in it by giving them what they want. It's not about broad appeal. It's not about getting millions of people to like you. It's about getting enough to love you and give you money. It's Stormfront from the boys. And grifters can do that with media, and Trump can do that with the Republican base. It was enough to get him through the Republican primary. And for a number of reasons that are complex, it was enough to get him narrowly elected president. But that does not mean that he's a political genius, that he actually gets how people think outside of that very narrow grift of his. And so he's got this. And I will say, it's like he needs those people. Joe Biden fired back, responding to that video I talked about, saying to senior citizens, you're expendable, you're forgettable, you're virtually nobody. That's how he sees seniors. The only senior that Donald Trump cares about, the only senior, is the senior Donald Trump. And so which strategy is working? Well, a recent Washington Post ABC News poll found that the two candidates, both the oldest ever nominated by their parties, were neck and neck with voters 65 and older, with Biden at 49% and Trump at 48%. The race is similarly tight in Florida, which is one of the largest oldest voting blocks in the nation. Now, you might see that and think, well, they're neck and neck, so they're doing equally well. But no, Republicans are supposed to lead by quite a bit amongst that demographic. They need to win, and so far, he's not actually doing that.
Yeah, I want to address the joke aspect, because it was just a joke, right? It was just a joke. There's and maybe senior citizens or maybe older folks that are in nursing homes shouldn't take offense to it. Maybe some will, maybe some won't. There's also jokes about black folks being criminals. There's also jokes about women being hysterical and emotional and can't control themselves. There's jokes about women having their periods every month and how that affects them. There's jokes about Asian folks who can't drive. There's jokes about immigrants. There's jokes about Latinos who have cantaloupe-sized calves, as Steve King said. There's jokes about them being rapists and murderers and criminals. There's all kinds of jokes, and as those jokes are directed at certain groups of people, I don't think those groups of people are laughing about them and saying, I'm going to vote for that guy. So you can make the jokes all you want at your racist-ass parties all you want. Make those jokes there and laugh with your racists. But once you're trying to run for office, you're not going to get anywhere making jokes about the people that are voting for you. It's a very simple 2 + 2 equation. So I'm sick of the jokes. Let's keep telling jokes while we're running for office and think that we're going to get somewhere by telling jokes. Hey, go back to Mar-a-Lago with your racist friends and tell your jokes there. Those jokes aren't going to fly here with people. So I don't care that you think elderly people just don't matter anymore and they're not going to take offense to this. And if they don't, that's on them. But if I'm an older person, I'm sitting in a nursing home, I take offense to that, and you're not getting my vote. Straight up, which one is it? Are you a politician or are you a jokester? Because, by the way, the jokes aren't funny.
Yeah, and if he does end up losing in that demographic, the joke is on him, honestly. And I could be wrong. He could still win, blah, 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 all that stuff. But it doesn't seem like a good strategy. The polling doesn't seem to show that it's really working for him. So we'll see. We'll see. Okay, let's read a few comments before we move on to our next story. Let's see. Galfar in Twitch is saying, when are you going to learn that no matter the subject, you can't win a debate against Anna or Emma? So we're supposed to debate about whether Trump is genuinely funny. Emma thinks that he is somewhat charismatic and is funny. I don't really think so. I don't dispute that his fans think so. I just think that they're wrong. Lots of people like things that I don't think are funny. But anyway, okay, so Lawrence Cassetta, thank you for your super chat. Ray Turner says, didn't watch T.Y. Tarantino as it went on till nearly 4 a.m. in the UK. I totally get it. It was late, but I think it is available if you wanted to watch it during a more reasonable hour. Gogo Latata says, love the special. cleaning the windows with you guys is the best thing today. Thanks. Oh, that's productive. Getting 2 things done at once. GFR says, imagining a mother not understanding or caring about climate change is mind-boggling. No, but that's the thing, GFR. She has 7 kids. Of course she understands the significance of the climate. That's what they say about everything. She's got kids. I don't have kids, so I'm wrong about everything. Sean Umpleby says, Jank would be proud, drinking my 2-strong coffee out of my 2-strong mug, wearing my free We Press On tee, watching the best show on TYT, TDR. Love JR. Thank you, Sean. Although I will say, he would have loved all of that until that last bit. He does not consider it the best show, I'm sure. I think he thinks his show is the best show. But thank you for all of that. Bernie's daddy says, can we please get JR on cable news saying that? I don't know exactly what the reference was to, but can we please get JR on saying all of it, including that last bit about the jokes?
They're going to kick me off because I'll cuss on cable news on accident.
That's probably true. JR, you do need to be on cable news. We were moving in the right direction of occasionally being on like Cuomo and stuff until the pandemic. Anyway, we don't need it. Chuck Diesel says, I had a dragon tattoo before I became a Trump troll Dragon Squad mercenary. Nice. Franklin Sharpslicer says, it was fun learning about your oranges and your guy's fate. To work TYT forever plus a day or 2 late. If you're willing, give that much play. I believe most of us will go ahead and stay. Happy hump day. Thank you, Franklin. I appreciate that. Talking about the special there. Stan Z says, this is for JR's June Cleaver cooking chili and pearls and high heels reference. I'm still laughing. Did you happen to see Anna on the special last night?
I saw bits of it because I went to this. I had to run a couple of errands right after I did it. Yeah. And I was like, I want to see this hour, and I missed the part.
She had like the thing around her head that was so 1950. Yeah, it was the most 50s thing ever. She should have had to do the special holding a tray of cookies with that thing on. And one final super chat for now. No, 2. DeAndre Clark says, I'm trying to inject JR's jokes rant into my veins. That and bleach will cure whatever ails you. And Lulu says, I love JR's dog. Best TYT pet award goes to JR.
Where is he?
I haven't seen him, but
he's not out here today.
He's great. Let's see. Really fast over on Twitch. Rivecchio gifted 10 tier 1 subs. The first 10 that Rivecchio has given. Thank you so much for doing that. We also have Brandy Lou who gifted 1. Thank you, Brandy Lou. And Brandy Lou gifted another one as well. So thank you. She double dipped there. Really appreciate it. Okay. Let's go to this next story. It's a bit of a doozy, but you're not going to hear about it on Fox News, so why don't we cover it? Okay. So I probably don't need to tell you all about the big unmasking scandal because you all already know about it if you exclusively get your news from Fox News. If you're a normal human, you probably don't know anything about it because it's nonsense. It's a big fever dream on the right. But it also turns out that they turned up bupkis in their investigation. So let me just quickly run you through this since you're not going to hear any more about it on Fox News. So the federal prosecutor appointed by Attorney General William Barr to review whether Obama-era officials improperly requested the identities of individuals whose names were redacted in intelligence documents, the so-called unmasking, has completed his work without finding any substantive wrongdoing, according to 2 people familiar with the matter. Now, a little bit more on this unmasking. Though unmasking is common and appropriate because it allows government officials to better understand a document they're reading, Trump and others suggested the list of requests that ultimately revealed Mike Flynn's name showed wrongdoing. So the Obama administration did a thing that is done, and the Trump administration said, nuh-uh, that shows that this is literally the biggest scandal in American history. That is what Sean Hannity has said and Lou Dobbs has said and all of that. So they started this investigation, and the idea was going to be, we might show that there was actually harm done by this. And even if we don't, all the talk all along the way will be beneficial to us. So they got that. This was a big topic of discussion on Fox News. And now it turns out, no, nothing was done. It wasn't out of the norm. No harm was done. And that is why William Barr is not going to be talking about it. Sean Hannity's not going to be talking about it. JR, would you like to be the last person in American media to talk about this?
Well, yeah, I would love that. Well, there's two patterns in play here, especially with this, with Barr's Department of Justice looking to protect Trump or deflect from all of his scandals at the same time. Is there's so many things that they're addressing that they have to deflect and act like it was someone else that did it to them, that even their supporters probably can't keep up with the number of scandals. They're like, wait a second, I thought we were talking about Burisma and Ukraine. Wait a second, what about Russian interference? Hey, but then we have to also talk about the dossier. Oh, then we got to talk about the interference. Oh, they tried to get him out. Like, they can't keep track of all of the ridiculous lies that they're trying to deflect and call baseless and toothless, that are looking just to subvert this president, and he deserves 12 more years, whatever talking points that they want to bring up at the particular moment. So even their supporters probably can't keep up with one scandal deflection from the next. So even this, if they had decided to fake something to turn up from it, I don't think many people really would have glummed onto it, because it reminds me of Ron Johnson, Senator Johnson, and Chuck Grassley. They did that probe into Ukraine, Burisma, Hunter Biden. We're going to come with there's going to be some concrete evidence to talk about what he did and how he did it and how much he profited and how his father helped him. You know what came of that, John? Did you hear about this? Can I tell you what came of that investigation?
What?
Nothing, just like this last one. And after they talked all this big game for so long, after nothing came up, there was something that they decided to hide. There was one testimony that came from Ron Johnson's his thing. His witness said that Rick Perry, he was working for under Trump, and he said there was this scheme where they had corruption efforts where he forced this Ukraine company to actually hire someone else that was along with Republican buddies to enrich him. That came of the investigation that Ron Johnson was trying to get something on Hunter Biden for. We didn't hear about that part because they're like, well, as we were trying to come up with bogus information, we actually got some real corruption information from an official that was put in place under this president. Let's not do that part, is what the conclusion was. So now that Barr now has another investigation that's come up with nothing, all he can say now is, well, let me be quiet. There's like multiple, I think CNN even did it, multiple instances where Trump was talking about, this is the biggest news story. No one else needs to talk about anything else. Do you guys understand what the Obama administration did to me? I would love for him to talk about it today.
I would love for him to explain in plain language clearly what he thinks the story is, and I guarantee he can't. Which is fine. Look, this has been referred to as the Fox cinematic universe. It's like if I were to reference something in particular that Drax did, and you don't watch those movies, it wouldn't make any sense. That's what this is. Trump's problem is that he's like a nerd like me who doesn't get that not everybody watches these movies. So at the debate, he made references to stories that you would have to be deep into the Fox cinematic universe to know what the reference is. And he doesn't actually understand, just like I can't explain the plot to Thor 2, The Dark World. I can't. I've seen it twice. I can't explain the plot. That is Donald Trump. I can make reference to it. I just did. Can't explain what it's actually about. Just like they won't be able to explain soon what the new Hunter Biden story is. Rudy Giuliani got a laptop with some emails on it or something. It's nonsense. It's a spinoff. I don't think it's going to be a great one. Yeah, so this is nonsense. Are never that good. Yeah. And by the way, this is just another thing when the whole deep state thing blew up and some people who should have known better actually gave it the time of day. No, it is BS. It is propaganda. That's what it is. We need to understand that.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, keeping it in mind, the number of people that actually got something from this, or the 12 to 15 people that took all these investigations and see it as fact. Think of how much money we've wasted on these investigations from the Department of Justice to actually go after that. While we didn't go after real criminals, we still haven't addressed the white supremacy terrorism problem in the country because they're too busy going after these types of things that American taxpayers are paying for. And at the end of it, just kind of fizzles out and we don't talk about it anymore. We're talking about a waste of money. This is one of them.
Yeah. Yeah, massive. Yeah, exactly. So let's talk about how much they spent on the Mueller report. How much was spent on this? I don't know. I honestly really don't care compared to everything else that they spend money on, but it certainly costs money and time. Anyway, okay, so really fast, let's roll into our next story because we got two more stories to get to and time is a wasting. So let's roll through to this. Donald Trump has spent 7 months lying to the American people about the coronavirus, not providing any leadership, doing whatever he can seemingly to do PR for the virus. But there is an election in 3 weeks, and he needs to pretend that none of that is true. And so he is going to deceptively, dishonestly, and non-consensually use Dr. Fauci, who is the only person who's worked for Donald Trump this entire time that the people still trust, to pretend that that man supports his reelection. Take a look at this ad.
President Trump is recovering from the coronavirus, and so is America. Together, we rose to meet the challenge, protecting our seniors, getting them life-saving drugs in record time, sparing no expense. President Trump tackled the virus head-on, as leaders should.
I can't imagine that anybody could be doing more.
We'll get through this together. We'll live carefully, but not afraid.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Yes, so Trump approves the message. You know who doesn't approve the message? Anthony Fauci, as was made clear here in his appearance on the news.
You quickly came out with a statement that noted that that sentence had been taken out of context. You were talking about the whole of government response, not President Trump. And of course, you've never endorsed a presidential candidate in your 5 decades of public service. Should the Trump campaign take this ad down?
You know, I think so, Jake. I think it's really unfortunate and really disappointing that they did that. It's so clear that I'm not a political person, and I have never either directly or indirectly endorsed a political candidate. And to take a completely out of context statement and put it in, which is obviously a political campaign ad, I thought was really very disappointing.
What would you say if I told you I heard that the Trump campaign was actually preparing to do another ad featuring you?
You know, that would be terrible. I mean, that would be outrageous if they do that. In fact, that might actually come back to backfire on them. I hope they don't do that, because that would be kind of playing a game that we don't want to play. So I hope they reconsider that.
Okay, so Jayar, I'm going to have a follow-up for you, but what's your first reaction to Trump using it and then Fauci acknowledging that he had no interest in being in that ad?
You know, when you finally see someone hitting the breaking point, people with the utmost patience, you may see them with their kids or something. You're like, man, that guy is so calm. Like, he can put up with anything. And it's kind of been the persona that Fauci has been showing us. I mean, maybe behind the scenes he loses his temper. Maybe behind the scenes he goes, hey, stop that. But I think publicly he's finally getting fed up. And he's like, okay, you guys, okay. He knows he's coming out looking great amongst all these things, but there's only so much someone can take when they're personally continually put out there as this shield or barrier between truth and reality. I mean, truth and Trump's lies. So anytime Trump now says, I'm just going to take a half a sentence from him and toss it in his campaign video, he's like, okay, like, you could have come out there and try to clean up your ridiculousness. Sure, that's part of my job. But it's come some point when you stop talking to me and you start using my words without my permission, okay, I've hit the breaking point and the baby's got to be put in timeout.
Yeah, 100%. And I guess my follow-up is, it was subtle, but was that not a threat? Did he not threaten Trump in that? Like that, I don't know if he'd want to do this. Yeah, this is a game he might not want to play and all that. Like, is he saying that if they keep putting him in ads, that he would be in a Biden ad or something? That he would come out more critical and say something critical of Trump? Can you imagine if Fauci is the October surprise and he comes out with like a full interview? This MFer didn't give a damn. He wants the herd mentality. And let me tell you about how dumb he is, because he's real dumb. Can you imagine? It'll
be like the Woodward taste. Maybe he's been recording him somehow, and without selling a book, so there's actually more trust behind it. That'd be nice. One person to finally do that.
That conversation where where Fauci had to explain to him why you can't just let millions of people die. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter if it comes out, because that's been news for months and months and nobody seems to care. By the way, super fast, a little update. We're in, I don't know, the 30th step of the herd mentality thing. The Trump administration supported some sort of like all these doctors had signed on to you should do a herd immunity. And it turned out that like dozens of their names were like Joey Bananas and stuff like that. Like, it was total BS. But the Trump administration just supported it. Because again, remember, they don't support herd immunity, except they keep supporting herd immunity constantly. But anyway, yeah, so they used him in the ad. He doesn't want to be used in the ad. The Trump campaign has defended its decision to feature Fauci in the ad, saying they are indeed Dr. Fauci's own words. yes, but taken out of context and not specifically about Donald Trump at all. Donald Trump went a step further, maybe responding to that implicit threat there, saying, actually, Tony's pitching arm is far more accurate than his prognostications. Longest word Trump has ever used. Definitely looked it up before he typed it. No problem, no masks. WHO no longer likes lockdowns. Just came out against. Trump was right. We saved 2 million USA lives. So
which one is it? Is it that Fauci, his fastball isn't there, or is it that he's in a campaign ad of yours saying that you're awesome, taken out of context? You can't have it both ways. You can't say he can't toss and he has no prognostications, but you can say that he's in my ad endorsing me and that's supposed to be a positive. Which one is it? Which one is it, bro?
Yeah. And yeah, exactly. So why if he's so terrible, he's awful, why do you have him in the ad? And also, like, again, it's the 50th time we've acknowledged this now, but that no problem, no masks thing was like day one of the pandemic, trying to avoid people buying up all the masks so doctors couldn't get it. And after that, we've had 7 months of everyone desperately begging the president to acknowledge what scientists say, which is we need to encourage people to wear masks. He has since gotten coronavirus and still won't acknowledge that, but he's not going to at this point. And by the way, Jayar, Tony's pitching arm is far more accurate. Do you get what that's a reference to?
When he had that the opening pitch, right? Am I right? At the Nationals game?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So he's mocking Fauci for the bad throw, but do you get why he's doing that?
Because Trump is afraid to do it?
No. Well, I think it's because Trump is butthurt that he wasn't offered the opportunity.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
This is now deep into, I guess, our cinematic universe. Trump said that he had been asked to do it, and he had to say no because he had an event that he had to do. I'd be doing it, but I have an event. And then on that day, the day that he had said he was going to do, he couldn't do it because he had the event, he went golfing. So, like, he is so jealous that Fauci got to, to the extent that he did, throw the first pitch. He's still thinking about it months later.
Yeah, and actually, it wasn't the Yankees or something that came out and said, yeah, we said we would do it, but we didn't offer him to do it on this day.
Yeah, totally.
He made the whole thing up.
Yeah, so look, they said that they're going to have him in more ads. If that happens, Dr. Fauci, come on, you told him that something would happen if he does that, so you start recording your ads right now. You can come on the channel. I'll interview. We can talk about Donald Trump and the coronavirus. I got no problem with that. Anyway, okay, let's read a few more comments before we get into our last story. Comoching Conesto? I'm not sure. There's no capitalization. That one's a hard one. I apologize. Says she's at least more composed than Kavanaugh. Not being psychotic. What a bar to clear. What happened to our government? Yeah, I mean, but that makes me worried. She seems like a person that has tried to do very specific things to get the GOP to accept her, to eventually end up on the SCOTUS, to be a religious zealot that takes away our rights. That, to me, is she has a mission, and she's not as, she's not gonna, I like beer, because she actually is following her mission. Okay. Ada says, my ballot is filled out. I have to look up where to drop it off in my town. I will drop it off tomorrow. Be careful that you drop it off in a real ballot drop box and not one of those fake Republican ones that I swear to God, Trump just encouraged them to do more of on Twitter. You can check it right now. Michael Shore retweeted it. It's illegal. It's against state law. They've been warned of that. And Trump just told them to do it more. He's telling them to violate election law.
And they're blatantly saying they would. It's one small thing about the people are saying that Trump faked the having coronavirus. I said that too the first day of it. But what the conspiracy theory we need to really push is Melania faking having it just to get the hell away from this guy.
Maybe.
Oh man, I'm so sick. Actually, I'm gonna need 3 months away from you, bro.
I've got long-term symptoms. Which you do get. We haven't seen her, have we?
No, that's what I was just, it just came to mind. I was like, actually, we're talking about how everyone has survived and recovered, and Christie got out of the hospital, Trump's out of the hospital, back to campaigning, he's on rallies with dumb people again. Where's Melania? Is she doing okay? Like, I mean, even people who were legitimately concerned, like, how is she doing? We haven't heard.
Yeah.
I haven't heard.
Those two guys are so lucky that they survived, that they both survived is a miracle. Yeah, I think it's more likely that Melania is not using it to avoid Trump. I don't think that she wants to deal with the media. I don't think that she wants to be in the public eye. I think she hates this entire thing. I think that she wants to just go. We'll see what happens if he loses in the couple of years after that. And by the way, Crimson Countess on Twitch says, I'm sure Melania has to fake many things. Anyway, I don't know what you're talking about there. Is that Fox Cinematic Universe? I'm not sure. Rob Shidley says, I got it. No longer will you be known as Dragon Daddy. You are our DM, Dragon Master. Roll for literally 100%. I'd prefer that. Thank you. Oh. Okay, let's see. Jacob Fergie says, love the hat, JR. Go Pack Go. Dragon Squad hockey jersey next. Speaking of Wisconsin, they tried to mandate a 25% capacity limit for certain businesses that was mostly ignored, and I want to cry. Jeez. I think that now that we have this mascot, basically, which it's awesome that we have, because TYT's never really had a mascot necessarily, so it would be hard to do a jersey. We could totally do a jersey for Dragon Squad now.
That'd be dope.
Anyway, okay, Joe Walter says, I got my ballot this morning, filing it out immediately after TDR, finally succeeded in getting my son to register and vote this year. That's awesome. If everyone can get one person to vote, or preferably 1 million, if each of you could get 1 million people to vote, that would be awesome. Please get on that. It's going to be tough. I admit it. Over on Twitch, Day Ranger 828 says, big news Wednesdays. Need this indispensable and fiery commentary to keep us sane. Been a TYT viewer since at least 2015. Can't get enough damage report. Keep up the good work. Thank you. Telly Panda says, hello, Dragon Squad. Happy JR Wednesday. Hillary DK says, good evening, TYT. Yet again, greetings from Bernie's favorite country, Denmark. Hello, Denmark.
I thought it was Norway.
There is Norway. That's true. That's Trump's. There is a block of pro JR Twitch comments. Get it, JR. Boom. Right on JR. Go off. Damn. And then all of your face and your emote. There's a ton of people who love JR here. I hate it.
Twitch is the place.
Apparently. And Morfallon says, Bart, the TYT philosopher. Bart then added, lesson of the day. The best to be philosophical and deep is at the shallow end of a swimming pool. Okay, good. Wait, you got an own on us. Anyway. Okay, with that, we are running out of time. I want to cover one last topic, and it's one that I'm glad we held over from yesterday because I have a feeling that JR is going to be into it. So let's get to it. Mitch McConnell just recently debated Amy McGrath. It might be the only debate we get out of them, especially after Mitch McConnell didn't exactly have the best performance. Here he is cackling like a drunk tortoise as Amy McGrath talks about the pandemic.
The House passed a bill in May, and the Senate went on vacation. I mean, you just don't do that. You negotiate. Senator, it is a national crisis. Yeah. You knew that the coronavirus wasn't going to end at the end of July. We knew this. I mean, I just think you've got to. And here's the thing: if you want to call yourself a leader,
Bill,
if you want to call yourself a leader, you got to get things done. And those of us that served in the Marines, we don't just point fingers at the other side. We get the job done.
That face is going to haunt my dreams.
Oh my God.
So Jayar, that was Mitch McConnell, one of the most powerful people in the country, that thinks that his lack of leadership during the coronavirus is a very, very funny joke.
Okay, again, I'm not sure. It's not going to stick the same way, but we saw the vice presidential debate last week, whenever that was. I feel like it was a year ago. But we saw how people are going to analyze every head turn, head nod, head shake, eyebrow raise, nose scratch, ear wiggle that Kamala Harris was going to have that whole night. And she was aware of it. And that's why many of us were upset at her not firing the way that we know that she can at Mike Pence, because she knew the way people would take it. And they took it that, by the way, some people did take it that way anyway, even though she sat there the whole time and went. That was the problem they had with her. Mitch McConnell can laugh about ignoring relief bills for people that have suffered greatly during the pandemic that the president ignored and downplayed and largely facilitated. He can laugh about it and not be concerned that the whole cycle of the next news day is Mitch McConnell, who's holding up COVID relief bills, is laughing about it to your face. He's laughing when someone is holding his feet to the fire for the first time because he avoids talking to real people. He goes to the Senate floor and lies. Then he goes and consults with Donald Trump to coordinate their lies. Then he finally has a chance to address his issues, and he laughs at you. Do you want someone who's laughing at you? Imagine if someone who was in charge of the country screwed it up this badly and laughed at you, and they were Democrat. Destruction. It'd be 24/7 news cycle about how they laughed at you after your father, your mother, your brother, your sister, your niece, your nephew, someone in your life, your best friend died of this. And then now, because maybe one of those people died, or you're suffering because you don't have a job, or you're suffering because your kid is now working remotely in school and you have to back off on your job, which is a big problem with many people in this country as well, he's laughing at you. As your kid is at the computer desk and trying to work on Zoom and their head hits the table and they start crying, Mitch McConnell's laughing at you. Hey, you know that cough that you got that could be a natural, normal cough, and then you're suddenly panicked like, oh my God, who did I see? Did my mask drop down that one time at the grocery store? Oh, there was that one guy who walked right close next to me. I'm panicked. I got to go get a test. Mitch McConnell's laughing at you.
Yeah.
It's a straightforward, simple thing. And this isn't like any kind of political hyperbole. It's exactly what's happening. He's laughing at his inaction on helping people who are panicked and people who have lost others and that their lives will never be the same again. Is his life upside down? Did his wife die? He has grown adult kids now. Is anyone in his life having to struggle through this whole thing? No, they're not. And he's laughing at you because you are.
You're 100% right. Jayar, you should definitely make commercials. Just play the beginning of that, say he's laughing at the pandemic, and then just start reading statistics, and then play him laughing again, and then show some families that are struggling to make ends meet, and then play him laughing. You're 100% right. Quick note: really hope that Amy McGrath beats him. Don't think it's going to happen for a couple of different reasons. One, the polling. Take a look at this. That's just some of the recent polls. He's winning by 5 to 12 points, 15. He's doing very well. And look, he looked bad in that part, and she's sort of saying the right thing, but she's not bringing it strong. If you look at her ads, she has one of the sort of messages of her campaign for some time now has been that the reason Mitch McConnell is bad is that he's not doing enough to give Trump what he needs or what he wants, that he's sort of an obstruction on the path to Trump. She said that early on. They had these animated ads where Mitch McConnell is like an obstacle to Trump getting. It's it's maddening. It's a parody of the Democrats just trying to appeal to Republicans rather than those on the left thing. This is stronger than I've ever seen before. Hope that she wins. Don't think it's going to happen, and we could have had a much better candidate in that race. But anyway, the polls don't look good. He's still the bad guy because he could have passed, more stimulus 6 months ago. He doesn't want to because he doesn't care. He doesn't care if people lose their jobs, doesn't care if they lose their homes, get evicted, doesn't care if they live or die. He's like a lot of Republicans in that way, but he's the most powerful and thus the most culpable.
Yeah. So the best thing he can do at this point, since it seems like he's going to win, is this is a potential for other people in other states flip the Senate and strip him of that level of power that he had. Yeah. He can still be there, and he's going to be, it looks like. So let's go ahead and put him in a position where he can't control things the way he has.
I agree. That would be one of the best things that can happen. There are a lot. Lindsey Graham losing, that'd be great. Susan Collins losing would be wonderful. But him not being the majority leader would be amazing and so necessary.
Absolutely.
Anyway, Jayar, thank you for joining us for a big News Wednesday. Appreciate it as always.
I'm gonna go order my Dragon Squad shirt immediately.
Nice.
And by order, I mean I'm gonna go ask the folks at Shop 2IT to send me one.
Exactly. They should. Okay, I'll talk to you soon. Have a good one.
For sure. See you guys.
Okay, everybody, let's read a few more comments before we move on. Let's see. George Krukowski says, looks like Half Pint from Little House on the Prairie made it to the Supreme Court. I didn't watch that. I apologize. So I don't get the reference, but thank you for the super chat. If you left, you're not right, says, as a ginger who's been physically and verbally attacked based on the way I look, I'll never support BLM until ALM to all BLM. Thank you for the super chat. Justin Trevino says, tried voting yesterday during lunch, but the lines were too long here in Austin, Texas, so going on Friday and wait as long as I need to. That's interesting, Justin, because, I mean, obviously lines are different, but I have a professor in Austin who said that she had to wait less than 30 minutes. Some areas are 8 hours, 10 hours, 13 hours. It's insane. JNL says, I heard DHS tested him for his town hall, and he tested negative finally, and I'm waiting on my TDR shirt. I love hearing your POV. It makes my day. Thank you for that. Yeah, it looks like things worked out the way I unfortunately knew they would. I mean, not unfortunately. It's great. He's healthy. Yay. Everything worked out the way it's supposed to. Ray Riley says, want a fitted hat? No flat brim, no snapback. You have gone beyond my hat knowledge. It's a possibility. We don't make a lot of hats, though, but we'll see. Brianna Circus says, take it from a suburban housewife. We don't care about zoning and crime. We care about childcare credit, safe schools, and healthcare. Listen to us. That is not on his agenda, but thank you for that. Brianna went on to say, and I'm also a business owner, so I care about that too, because in 2020, we can be both. He has no clue. He's stuck in 1950. Love to John and Jayar. Thank you, Brianna. I appreciate that. JNL says, to correct my first super chat, it was NIH, not DHS, who tested Trump. That makes sense. And I'm one of those white suburban women voting for Biden. Go Biden. Thank you. Let's see. Burkenick says, pimps are all African-American, and yet the biggest pimp in modern times, Ghislaine Maxwell, and Trump wishes her well. Yeah, responding to what JR had said earlier. Wellington Spitz says, JR bringing the fire. You go, boy. To heck with racism and ageist jokes. Agree. Trish Brazil says, amen, JR. The jokes aren't funny anymore or ever. And that doesn't mean that, look, if his followers think they're funny, then they can still be effective. We need to understand that. That's where I might be debating Emma soon. I just don't like them. And I don't think that they're effective. But I could be wrong about that. Carla, thank you for your super chat. Let's see. Fett, thank you so much. Jenna Nick says, Mitch looks like a cross between the child eater from Pan's Labyrinth and Palpatine. Slash a little bit from that Silence of the Lambs movie. I forget that guy who cut off his own face. A little bit like that. Anyway, let's see. Over on Twitch, Brielle Please says, do people in Kentucky realize the Kentucky exchange for low-cost healthcare is really Obamacare? Probably not. Thank you, though. Badarongo says, open invite to John, JR, Brett, and Brooke, etc. Hearing JR last night say he comes down to San Diego ever so often. You all have helped create such an amazing community of progressives, and I'm super grateful for all that hard work. If you're ever in San Diego and want to grab some tacos and cervezas, I'd be more than happy to take you out to the best local spots. Thank you. It might take a bit pandemic-wise before that can be possible, because I haven't gone out for beers and tacos in quite a while. Haven't eaten in a restaurant in 7 months, but I do appreciate the offer. Thank you for that. And thank you to everybody else who sent in messages, super chats, and all of that. Even if I can't read that, I'm seeing Emma's more logical than John. I'm seeing in the chat. Okay, I see how it is. I see how it is. You might have a point. Even if I can't always read these live, I do read them all, so thank you for sending them in. Do we have our Pets of TDR video ready to go? Is that a thing that we could go to? Not sure? Okay, if we have that, let's go to it. If not, I'll continue.
How would I look walking a dog on the White House lawn? Would that be?
Oh, Cassie did such an amazing job, and thank you for having that going. So you saw there, you can send in your pets, hashtag pets of TDR, and they might be spotlighted on the new Instagram at instagram.com/the damage report. Everybody should definitely follow that. We put up little clips from the show, from our interviews that you might not see, pictures, behind the scenes stuff, all of that. They're doing a great job managing that, so everyone should definitely go follow that. And there were 2 Abbies. I only have 1 Abby. One is my wife's dog. The other was a neighbor's dog that's unfortunately away now. But anyway, thank you everybody for watching. Tomorrow, big show. Gary Chambers is going to be joining us once again. We might have information about a special event that'll be coming up tomorrow night. Haven't decided yet, but we'll see. Anyway, thank you for watching. I'm going to be doing the main show with Anna Kasparian later on today in studio. We're going to be sharing a room, but socially distanced, and there's now plexiglass to separate us. But anyway, you'll definitely enjoy that. And if I don't see you there, I'll see you tomorrow. Until then, stay safe out there, stay sane out there, and I'll see you soon.